I have done a Stickman vs. Snowman animation in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 hours. Let's destroy the snowman. I was happy I couldn't go to the second frame because I drew a baby snowman that wasn't looking for a fight. You may also notice that I have changed my device. Here our snowman looks like a bowling pin, and our stickman has swelling in his joints. I started with a black background like before, because it would be easy to see our snowman. Here the white stickman runs and dives on the snowman to destroy it, so I drew the stickman first, and then added the snowman without his eyes and nose. I had a thought of adding some eyes and a nose to our snowman, but time didn't allow me to add them. Successfully destroyed an innocent snowman. For 10 minutes I decided to create different backgrounds with blue skies and green grass. This background took me 1.5 minutes to draw. Then I started adding the snowman. This time I was able to add the eyes and nose. Traditionally, the carrot is used to show the nose and stick for the hands. I don't know how people make that now. I didn't have much time, so I didn't add the other accessories like a hat and scarf around the neck. Then I started animating the stickman. He was going to punch the snowman, but the snowman punched him. I first drew the stickman reaction after the punch. Then it was time to add the punch by snowman. He uses his stick hand to punch the stickman. Then I started adding the head. Then I added some in-between frames to give more fluency to the punch. At last, I made some adjustments, and our animation was ready. For 1 hour, I thought of creating a heavy snowfall background. For that, I used mainly gray tones. I drew clouds with a 6B pencil. Then, with a spray brush, I drew blurry houses, buildings, and some trees. This blurry effect creates the depth and environment of a snowfall. Then I added the falling snow. Then I added the wind strokes to make the environment more freaky. It took me 20 minutes to complete the background. Then I started adding the snowman. I made his face and then started adding the hand movements. My thought behind it was that he cast the spell, and then 2 snowballs came flying towards the stickman. It was the first time he initiated an attack. After checking different colors of the stickmans, I decided to stick with the black. He somehow manages to get rid of those snowballs, jumps in the air, and throws a long wooden stick like a spear toward the snowman. Then I added that stick in his hands, which he uses to stop those snowballs before throwing it towards the snowman. With 1 minute remaining, I added the scattering of the snow, and our animation was ready. For 10 hours, I had an idea about creating a background of a frozen lake for ice skating. I drew just 3 to 4 trees and copy-pasted them everywhere. Then I added the full moon in the background. First, I tried to draw the surface of the moon, but I realized that it would consume more time, so I kept the moon as it is. While adding the shadows of the trees, I tried different angles. Then, it was time to give the frozen lake texture. I added the blurry shadows of the trees and drew many horizontal lines with different hues to create the texture of ice. Then I added the reflection of the moon. After completing the drawing, I realized that the trees looked much shorter, so I stretched them and added the shadows accordingly. It took me about 1 hour and 35 minutes to complete the background. For the animation, it was difficult to select the color of the stickman. After spending a minute, I ended up selecting orange and pink. The concept of this animation was to create an ice skating dance with our 2 stickmen. Here, our dance starts from the center with pink and orange holding each other's hands. Then pink performs the spin and slides to the right side while spinning. Here, pink would be our stickwoman. I thought of including this new stickwoman after watching the new Animator vs. Animation episode, where the victim and Mitzi were having a great time together. Now you may say, where is the fight? So, Here comes our snowman sliding on the lake and ready to attack our stick woman. Let's call her Pinks. She kicks him while still spinning around herself. After hitting the first snowman, both started spinning by holding each other's hands. Animating this was a difficult task, because you had to alter the layer of the Stickman. For example, if Pinks is in front of the orange, then you have to draw her above the layer of orange. So every time they rotated, I had to draw on the different layers according to their position. After completing this action, I decided that I had to add the heads first, so I could determine how the remaining time could be utilized. Drawing an orange head wasn't a problem, but drawing the head of the Pinks was a challenge. I tried many different designs and I came up with this one. Not only this one, but I had to create two different heads of the Pinks. One which shows the front angle and the other back. It was used when she was spinning. That turned out great. For the next part of the animation, they skate to the right side. Pink then jumps in the air using orange as a support and kicks the snowman. When I finished the jump kick, I completed around 6 hours and 35 minutes mark. Then Pink returns and our orange stickman holds her and starts spinning around. This was the third spin of the dance, but each was a different one. After completing the spinning around dance moves, I realized that I had to add the snowman to that kick. Here, the snowman had a scarf around his neck and devil horns. He was kicked away with more speed than he arrived. The last hour was remaining, and I went to complete the animation, which involved adding more snowmen and in-between frames. Also added the scattering of the snowballs that were thrown at them. I added the red scarf to the orange before, so I added a black scarf to the Pinks. I also added some shadows for the last two snowmen, and added some snowy tracks for a couple of them. In the last 5 minutes, I created a snowfall foreground animation just like before, and our animation was ready.